meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now being called to order. Councilman Fleury will give the invocation, and Councilwoman Lynch will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come to you today, thanking you for wisdom and knowledge. We pray, O God, for this great city, for our mayor and administration and all the workers that carry the day-to-day function. Now, Lord, go and bless this meeting, and we ask in your name for these things we ask. Amen.
Amen.
Let us face the flag and repeat the pledge in unison, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilman Everson.
Here.
Councilman Dennis.
Present.
Councilman Corley.
Present.
Councilman Fleury.
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch.
Here.
Councilman Bowles.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 12th, 13th,
Second.
and the 13th special meeting.
Been motion by Councilman Corbin, approved by the Vice Chair. In discussion, please vote. Motion carries. Any awards or recognitions of distinguished guests by the mayor?
Yes, sir. I have two. I'm going to do announcements, and then I will do one of the recognitions. And we have someone who would like to come up and recite a part of the I Have a Dream speech, and I think that's Mr. Ken Kraft. He's going to do just part of it this afternoon in honor of Black History Month. If you would indulge him for just a minute, he'd love to come and do that for us.
Okay.
Do you want announcements, or do you want a special guest?
No, that's fine. I know Councilman Bradford had someone he wanted to come up to.
Okay, I thought you asked me.
No, that's fine. No, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm saying I want Mr. Kraft.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Chairman, Council, Ken Kraft, 157 Archer. I was privileged as an almost 20-year-old, 50 years ago, to meet Dr. King. Liked his speech from 63 and memorized it as a 16-year-old. This is about 3 minutes and 20 seconds worth. Kind of picks up the second half. This is in front of the Lincoln Memorial, August 28, 1963. And excuse me, I do get sometimes emotional. And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day that this nation shall rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of justice. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of peace and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racist and its governor having his lips dripping with the words interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls. As sisters and brothers, I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low. The rough places will be made clean. The crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of God shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. I have a dream today. I have a dream. This is our faith. This is our hope. This is the faith that I will go back to the South with. And with this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to become a great nation, this must become true. And so, let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this day comes and we allow freedom ring, we will let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every city and every state. And we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing together in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, please.
No, I said the mayor recognized that, according to the agenda, that she was going to follow the council. So if it's in order, I can move forward. That's my guess.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chairman, as the mayor has acknowledged that this is Black History Month, and I know she have spoken at several events as well as attended, as well as myself. I have attended several events where the accomplishments and the history of African Americans has been presented and discussed. But one particular program I attended last week that I met some young men that I've been knowing, but I was so impressed and so delighted that they performed at the level that they did that I invited them to come here today. And they're here to present something, but they are the students of the Canaan Home Study Support Group of the Mount Canaan Baptist Church, where Dr. Harry Blake is the pastor. Ms. Dorothy Thompson is here with him. She is their sponsor teacher, and I want them to come forward, but I want Master Mark Kennedy to come and introduce them. Mark.
Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the Canaan Home Study Support Program of Mount Canaan Baptist Church, where Reverend Harry Blake is pastor. Okay. Jamel Johnson, Jamie Mays, Cavion Joyner, Larry Jones, Walter Anderson, and I am Mark Kennedy. We will recite one of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speeches, What is in Your Life's Blueprint? This is a message for children of all ages.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives. What you do now may well determine which way your life shall go.
Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you're nobody.
Always feel like you count. Always feel that you have worth. Then always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as the basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what your life's work will be, what you would do in life. Once you discover what it is, set out to do it and to do it well.
And I'll say to you, my young friends, doors of opening to each of you, doors of opportunities that were not open to your mothers and to your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter these doors as they open.
This hasn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. So I urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I will say to you, don't drop out of school.
I understand all of these sociological reasons, but I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the intolerable situation that you are forced to live in, stay in school.
And when you discover where you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. So don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better.
If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera.
Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine at the top of a hill, be a shrub in a valley. Be the best little shrub on the side of the hill.
Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
And finally, in your life blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal principles of love, beauty, and justice. Don't allow anybody to pull you so low as to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice.
So our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Our slogan must be learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn.
We must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Y'all did a great job. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to go back to Mayor Tyler, but I had to say some of that I needed to hear today for myself for my own personal reasons. So I really appreciate hearing that today. That was unexpected from God, and I appreciate you guys and exactly what you said. I needed that. Wow. Mayor Tyler.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I also would like to say congratulations to these young men. I was in their company 2 weeks ago at Southern University when they did the presentation, and they did an outstanding job even that day. So keep going, keep studying, and stay in school. Okay. Announcements for today, and then I have another presentation to make to a young man. I'd like to thank everyone who came out to our community meeting on Phase 2 of the bike lanes at Central Arts Station on February 15th. We had a very productive discussion, and we will take that feedback to help develop a revised plan. We will plan another meeting next month. I'd like to thank Commissioner Lewis Johnson for allowing the city to participate in his District 12 community meeting last week. We were able to educate the group about the upcoming continuation of taxes for basic city services and address other city-related concerns from the citizens. We were glad to join Mr. Richard Brontoli and bring greetings at the Red River Valley Association Conference last week in Bossier City. The city of Shreveport has long been a supporter of the Red River Valley Association and the work it does to advance economic development across state lines. We also received some great news this week. We want to announce that the National Recreation and Park Association has awarded the city of Shreveport through our SPAR department in collaboration with University Health Systems and Biomedical Research Foundation a $20,000 grant for participation in their referral pilot program. University Health System Arthritis and Rheumatology Clinic will refer patients with arthritis-related diagnosis to participate in SPAR's senior active lifestyle programs, Walk with Ease, or Active Living Every Day. We're very proud to have this opportunity to partner with the health system to improve the quality of life for our citizens. The Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting has been awarded to the City of Shreveport by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada for our comprehensive annual financial report. Also, an award of financial reporting achievement has been awarded to Mr. David Cresswell as being the individual primarily responsible for preparing the award-winning CAFRE. I want to invite everyone to the upcoming events held by the Women's Commission in March, Women's History Month. The 2018 Hera Awards Breakfast will be held at 8:30 a.m. Monday, March 5th, at the Shreveport Convention Center, and the Cora Allen Luncheon will be held at 11:30 a.m. Friday, March 9th, also at the Shreveport Convention Center. Please go to our website for more details. I also just want to remind everybody that we are still on heightened alert for our weather, and we will be receiving updates. We are receiving updates periodically every few hours, and we will have all of our folks out there, SPAR, Public Works, Shreveport Police Department, Shreveport Fire Department, Engineering Department, working with Homeland Security, Sheriff Office, the Fire Marshal, the Marshal's Office, and all of these partners will come together to make sure our citizens are safe. At this time, Mr. Chairman, please allow me to recognize a young man who is no stranger before this body. Joey Gucher continues to serve his community and get recognized for it. This time, he has gained recognition as one of Louisiana's top state honorees of 2018 in the Prudential Spirit of Community Awards. Joey is one of 2 students from the state of Louisiana to receive this prestigious honor, and he will represent our state in Washington, D.C. later this year. At this time, I'm going to read and present a proclamation to him. Mr. Chairman, if you will please join me at the podium. And Joey and his mom, will you please join me?
Amen. If you want to come back here and film from this side, you can, if you prefer.
She's on crutches.
She's on crutches today.
Might have a little challenge.
Come on down, Joey.
I forget.
Okay, the proclamation reads, Whereas, however effective government may be in serving the needs of its citizens, the source of our city and its vitality as a place to live and work depend on the relationship of families, friends, and neighbors. And whereas strengthening those bonds is not as much in the hands of institutions or government as it is in the hearts of the people. And whereas Joey Gucher recently named as a state honoree in the 2018 Prudential Spirit of Community Award program exemplifies the value of volunteer community service and is a role model for the other youth as well as adults. And whereas, as a state honoree, Joey is the recipient of a $1,000 award, an engraved silver medallion, and a trip to Washington, D.C. later this year for a series of national recognitions. And whereas more than 29,000 young people across the country participated in this year's program, and many of these volunteers, like Joey, are students contributing time without expectation of reward other than the gratification that comes from helping others. And whereas recognizing these young volunteers and encouraging others to follow in their example is the aim of this nationwide program conducted by Prudential Financial and the National Association of Secondary School Principals, whose aim is to reach into every community and to identify and honor these unsung heroes. And now, therefore, I, Ollie S. Tyler, Mayor of the City of Shreveport, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, February 27, 2018, as Joey Gucher Day in the City of Shreveport, and commend him on behalf of our entire city for his outstanding volunteer contribution to others and to our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed. Congratulations, Joey. You don't have to. Mr. Chairman.
First of all, I couldn't believe Joey didn't have a word to say, but I understand, because I'm short of words too, but I did want to say that I believe that Joey is definitely a role model, not just for kids and children his age, I think for some adults also. So I just want to commend you on a job well done, and please continue to keep up the good work.
All right. And congratulations in Washington. He'll be going there to compete against some others across the nation.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
I certainly want to add he is the most recognizable figure in District C and has been for about 4 years now. So.
Great. Those are the announcements, Mr. Chairman.
Ma'am. Right quickly, but next we will have Councilman Everson. But before so, I want to call up someone out in the audience. We have a Major Ray Morton with a presentation he wanted to bring up. If you will come up now, please.
Hello, thank you. Every year we do an annual Salvation Army bell ringing campaign, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to talk about that for just a second, and then I've got an award to present. Every year we have actually what I like to affectionately call a triple crown between Caddo and Bossier Parish, and one of them is with the Sheriff's Department, who compete to ring bells and raise money for the Salvation Army. And then we also have the school boards, or the school districts, compete as well, and then we also have the mayors compete. And this year, very close, was almost a sweep for Bossier Parish until Mayor Tyler stepped in, and through volunteering to do the bell ring this year, She won and saved the sweep. So Caddo Parish, thank you for fundraising. You raised almost almost $550 in the time that you spent bell ringing for the Salvation Army. And so I've got an award here that just says thank you for helping make change. And also at the same time, just for helping to carry on that great tradition and that friendly competition that you bring to this fundraising and helping the Salvation Army serve this Northwest Louisiana area. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to confirm, Mayor, are you undefeated in this for 3 years?
I believe so.
Just want to make that clear. 3 years running.
Hold up your award. He's trying to get a picture.
Do you want me to come around?
Yeah, why don't you do it, man? So we everybody can get a shot.
Get Brian out of the picture.
Yeah. don't want to have that happen. Brian, help ring the bell. Did you Photoshop. Did you ring the bell? She's out there by herself. By herself? I was out there giving her money.
That's where the 500 came from.
Here, please. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, man.
Councilman Everson.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to briefly recognize, and I know everybody has people in their districts who, pass on, that we have meant a lot to everybody, but in the past couple of weeks, I've had a couple of people who passed away that not only was it not expected, but these are the kind of people who really gave so much service to their community without getting a lot of recognition. These are not the kind of people who were on the front cover of the paper a lot, but they were people that mattered so much at their neighborhood levels and with their causes that they did. And one of those was Mr. Russell Pedro, who was a big part of the group that maintains the former water, the water treatment plant that has now become a museum, the Waterworks Museum. He's been a part of that group for many years to really help to maintain that. The group that they have established is going to carry on that legacy, and they've done a really good amount of work, but he was really part of getting that going in the first place. And the second one is a gentleman, Mr. Willie Pratt, who's the current president of the Cerner Hill Neighborhood Association. Mr. Pratt was one of those people who just had character, to spare for his whole life. He was just a great guy, always willing to work a little harder, never looked for any recognition, and I just didn't want to let an opportunity go by to not recognize him and thank them for what they did.
Thank you, Councilman Everson. Councilman Jenkins.
Just want to take this period to commend the efforts of the Corby's Park Foundation. They did a significant cleanup in Waterside area on Friday and Saturday, and with some support from the city, naturally, so that was greatly appreciated, but a great community effort between Shreveport Green, Broadmoor Neighborhood Association, but the actual organizer was Corby's Park Foundation, and did some really good work out there in the community, and certainly appreciate the city's support for their efforts. So that's all I have.
That's it. Okay. No one else. I want to call up recognize Mr. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Hello, thank you. Matthew Lynn, 627 Rutherford. I came principally to thank the city of Shreveport for all the assistance that we had with the Cruel Highland Parade. Mr. Crawford suggested more police officers, and I think the 30 extra police officers that we had made everything run really smooth. The ending of the parade and the flow of everything, it was worth every single one of them. I especially came here today to thank, of course, not just Mr. Crawford, but Sergeant Kelly, Sergeant Atkins, and Sergeant Van Zant with the Shreveport Police Department. They did a wonderful job working with us in coordinating efforts. Of course, Catherine Kennedy is always doing a great job in helping us put this parade together. The unsung hero that this year I think bared the burden of all the parades was that because it rained in the 2 previous parades and it was so cold, 25 degree with the wind chill factor for the Crew of Highland parade, the city people that come and clean up after us, everybody had leftover throws from the previous parades, and everybody threw because they didn't want to put them in storage. And because it was so cold, we had a little bit less attendance than what we had the previous 2 years, and people threw anyway. And so people kept the best and left the rest for the city workers to pick up. And so they really worked hard. I hope none of the street sweepers got broken because I think a lot of them had to push the broom with the most might that they could, because we left a mess, and I'm very thankful for the city cleaning up after us. And hopefully next year, with the season being later, with it being in March, that it'll be a little bit warmer and a whole lot drier, and for not just the Crew of Highland, but Centaur and Gemini and all the Harambe and Sobek and all the parades. I think the sun shined on Harambe this year. They had the best luck because they had sunshine and 70, and then the next day I think it was sleet and hail and snow and freezing temperatures. And so y'all were shined upon this year. Congratulations, Harambe. And so we hope to share in that with y'all next year. Anyway, thank you very much, City of Shreveport, for the assistance that y'all offer with the Crew of Highland.
Thank you. Councilman Everson.
Thank you for making those comments, Matthew, and it's appreciated. And really, this past year it was one of those things. Obviously, the parade runs through largely, mostly all through my district. There's a few blocks that are out of District B, but it was amazing to me how quickly the kind of negativity online about why isn't this all cleaned up right away, when I understand. It kind of reminded me how good of an expectation our public has gotten. That there is almost no evidence that a parade has happened virtually immediately after. So this occasion, obviously there was some weather-related issues and moisture-related issues that made some areas have to take a little longer to pick up than others. They were still picked up, but there was 12 hours or so that nobody was out there. And so I appreciate you saying that, because it did all get done really well, and and weather aside, issues aside, the job got done beautifully. But let's have a little bit more faith in our people that get out there and work in these bad conditions sometimes. They do a good job for us, and we really should thank them for that. So I appreciate you recognizing them, because they are the unsung heroes.
Yes,
they did have to get out and do
the whole rest of the city Monday, and then Tuesday at 7 a.m. I drove down Gilbert, and they were halfway finished with Gilbert, and Gilbert was the only leg that wasn't done previously. That Sunday night they did everything north of Kings Highway. And so every year they do a great job. And I would have said, guys, let's go home. It was cold. It was so cold.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mayor.
One more.
Don't leave so fast, Matthew. We would love.
Yeah, y'all do whatever y'all want to me. Y'all got me. What you want?
I want to pass on what I was thinking, but we would love to, in cases like that, partner with the parish Public Works Department as well.
Amen.
I don't want to move the parade outside the city.
No, it doesn't have to be outside the city. The Public Works, right? It's your district, and so
proud resident of Caddo Parish.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won't get into all this here.
What I'm saying is that we have, partnered on other cleanups, river cleanup or what have you, city, parish, Public Works Department, Recreation Department. So that may be, going forward, another option that we have to get, things cleared up after the parades, all the parades. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that everybody?
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. Mayor Tyler, do you have anything else for us to do?
Just 2 more things. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Larry Williams was unable to make it yesterday. He was one of the appointments we are asking for confirmation on with the Personnel Board, Human Resources Board, and he is here this afternoon. Just wanted you to get to see him. Don't know if you have any questions for him, but he is a reappointment to this board.
Okay. All right.
Any questions?
To which board? Which board is
It's
this?
the Personnel Board.
Personnel, okay.
Yes, sir. For the city.
How long have you been serving, Mr. Williams?
17 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what's your categorization of the board? You feel like you guys are doing well, and is there anything that we can provide that would help?
Mr. Crawford has been very helpful to the board for whatever system we need. Mr. Thompson has been helpful to the board. I don't see any of the councilmen that had been coming to the board with anything, but we would be glad to have you at the meeting. Next meeting is tomorrow at 1:30.
Next meeting, 1:30, everybody.
All right, 1:30.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your service.
I'm representing Ms. Lynch from District F.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Well, Mr. Williams is also a former Shreveport police with Shreveport Police Department as well. So he and my dad served together.
Well, matter of fact, your dad trained me 50 years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
From time to time, we'll be sending requests through the Mr. Crawford when it matters dealing with pay issues as it pertains to classification changes.
Yes, sir.
And we will look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other council members?
Thank you, sir. Mr. De Niro Washington, can you come up and just kind of summarize the community meetings that you had with Councilwoman Lynch? I believe you all had some meetings over. Yeah.
Well, all the meetings. 'Cause I only made one.
Okay.
I made a couple of the meetings, and I think they pretty much ran kind of smooth. We had a few people with a few, issues or concerns, and I think that's with everyone. But for the most part, they ran pretty smooth.
Thank you, Mayor, for inviting us up. Thank you, Council, for hearing us out. We did have a series of about 11 community meetings last week. With that being said, we got 117 written complaints. I'm sorry?
Speak up a little bit.
Okay. You received 117 written complaints. From those complaints, our staff has already started addressing some of those. The biggest complaint that we received was the fairgrounds route there in the fairgrounds area. Councilwoman Lynch District, that route did start on yesterday. We rerouted the bus to go into some of the neighborhoods. Kind of worked with Councilwoman Lynch on some of those items and issues. So that has already been changed. Stops have been relocated, added additional stops in that area. Other things that we have done is we also have reconsidered the business park area out in the auto mall. That was one of the areas that was cut. A lot of service was requested from the public meeting, so we added service back there. We added stops on the corner of Liable and Greenwood Road, 63rd and Southern, as well as Texas at Antioch Baptist Church, where other stops that were requested have already been placed since last week's meeting. As well as in Councilman Bradford's area, we're now going to be looking at how we reroute the bus to get a little bit closer to Green Oaks High School. Those were our major complaints, and we're already working to address those. Other than that, it was a lot of complaints about we have to walk a little bit further, so we're looking at some of those issues. Since we have put this system in place, we have now put 88 new stops out to help with some of those issues. So we are working with the community. We wanted to make sure we're being good community partners as the public transit system for Shreveport and Bossier.
What is it appropriate if I ask a question? I didn't want to cut anybody off. Have y'all seen? First of all, thank you for doing these meetings. I mean, I know that there are sometimes when we have these public meetings, people come with pent-up frustrations, and really sometimes I feel like that frustration is not really with the group holding the meeting, because you're there to listen to them, but maybe it's more because they're not accustomed to people being there to listen to them. So I appreciate y'all doing that and taking the time to listen to these and to make changes to help address some of the concerns. That being said, have y'all seen, not just in terms of what the individuals are expressing about their individual opinions, but in overall like ridership numbers or revenue numbers? Have you seen support for what's being stated, or?
Ridership at this point we have. We hadn't seen a ridership increase in about 6.5 years. We saw our first ridership increase in the month of January, which means that someone likes the service. And the overall goal is what we look at is the ridership. We do have some routes that we added new service to. So when we look at those routes, we want to run about 6 months to find out what's working, what's not working. We actually met with the Port of Kettle Boulder today. That's where I'm actually just coming from, to talk about how do we improve on that route. And that route is actually performing at this point, but we're also looking how we capitalize on more traffic from Bentler as well.
Thank you very much. That's. I mean, again, this is a system that really didn't have a lot of changes for a long time.
It's literally 25 years.
Decreasing ridership. Now, there's been a lot of changes recently. You're seeing increases in ridership, but you're also seeing some users who are having some frustration. And just, I got to commend y'all for the way you're approaching it. It's not going to be something that you step out the gate getting right after not making a change after 25 years. But y'all are trying, and I think that's evident. And I would ask anyone in the public that is still feeling some frustration or being offset to please, don't feel frustrated, but feel like your opinions are being asked for, because they literally are. And so please share those. If not with Sportran directly, I know a number of constituents have reached out to me, and y'all have been very responsive in addressing those concerns. So certainly appreciate that attitude.
And the one thing I would leave with the council is that we have a lot of happy citizens out there. One of the things you find is, the majority of people who show up to these meetings are the people who are having challenges. But those happy citizens you probably will never hear from. They never call and tell you when you're doing something good. But that was one thing that we did get from our meeting Friday at the intermodal terminal. You had some people walk up and write public comments cards. I like it. Things work great. But you still have those that have their concerns, and that's what we're here to do, to address those concerns. And that's what we've tried to do.
Thank you. On the council, I think we're kind of familiar with the idea that no one calls their councilman to say they had a good day and everything worked correctly today.
People get those calls?
People typically.
I need to send you some of those calls that I get.
Awesome. Awesome. But thank you, Denera.
Thank you all.
Facebook. That's where they really like to go and tell you how you're doing a good job.
Councilwoman Lynch.
Yeah, all these being with green tides on today. Did y'all coordinate? I think this whole process with the public transportation is a process, I think, that has worked very well. Y'all came, you listened, you made adjustments, you came back, you listened, you made adjustments. We can't ask for anything better than that. Particularly, I represent a district that is highly dependent on public transportation. The meeting, although I think it was mischaracterized by the media, my folks are very outspoken, and they are very pointed when they're not happy with something. They will let you know. But that's what government is all about. Is about listening and hearing the needs of taxpayers, the people that give us the opportunity, either through votes or through the taxes, to do what we do. And so I very much appreciate all of the meetings that occurred, all of the feedback, because even though a trip may start in one district, it may end in another district. People work or they go get medical treatment or what have you throughout the city. So it has to work collectively for anybody that's using the system. And so I really am happy with the process. I'm happy with the results. I'm happy to hear from the public, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. That's the only way we're going to get to a point of something that really works. We didn't expect, after 25 years, you make changes, everybody's not going to be happy, because that's a long period of time. You get used to one. I mean, I wish I could wear the same clothes I wore 25 years ago, but that that probably won't ever happen again. And so when you make changes after a long period of time, there's going to be, some feedback. There's going to be some angst. There's going to be some uncertainty. But I think you all have handled it very well because you listen, number one, and then you are making and have made some adjustments, that didn't throw everything else out of whack. And so I just want to express my appreciation for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you say that the LIBA at Greenwood Road already started, or it will start?
They've added 2 stops on Liable and Greenwood Road. Those went up actually yesterday. That was one of the requests. They didn't have enough stops on Liable, so we put stops up for them.
Okay. Yeah, that was a big. And they told me that they had already spoke to Councilwoman Lynch and that they called me and we need to make something happen. So I'm glad that happened somehow. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask you one other question, Mr. Washington.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate your presentation at the District A meeting as well. There was a couple of I hadn't met with you or got any feedback in those concerns that were presented. Do you feel comfortable with addressing those?
I think you kind of stepped out. One of the things, the major concern in your district was our Route 2, which is the MLK circulator.
Right.
It focused on being closer to Green Oaks High School.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at actually starting that route possibly as early as next Monday. But it's being worked out and tweaked with the time points at this point to make sure that it is able to be established. But we are working to establish that. That was the biggest concern in your district. The only other concerns in your district was us putting shelters out.
Right.
And where we were putting the shelters at, because people are already placing personal benches there. But I think we're working with that partner to try to figure out how we place our benches somewhere else.
I think the third one was the time that the circulator into the other neighborhoods are being.
So we've already addressed that one. That was one of the ones we had originally at the very beginning. But actually at the public meeting, the biggest concern was actually them having to walk down to Keishai Route 3, which is the regular MLK route.
Mm-hmm.
And that timing was off because of their walk. But by us addressing this Route 2 issue on the MLK circulator, is going to fix that Route 3 issue as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anything else, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. Down to reports. Is Mr. Green, anybody has anything with Mr. Green before he makes his way down?
No, but I do want my little areas worked on in Waterside, Greg Street.
I don't think you've been over there today, have you?
That is correct. I have not. I go by on my way home.
That's what you do.
Hey, asking you shall receive. I like that.
So, yeah.
That was worth the trip up there.
That was good. That was very good. Okay.
You sure that's it?
He wanted to ask about another one. Now he's scared.
I'm not asking about another one. I'm ready to go. I'm going to drive on my way home, and then I'm going to call.
The team is on top of it now.
Okay. Mr. Sweeney. Yes, Mr. Sweeney. Master
Yes,
plan
sir.
report, sir.
Yes, actually today I received the appointments for the parish on the master plan committee, and so we'll be scheduling a meeting in March. It took a while to get everybody to get their appointments in line, but we finally got them today.
Okay. All right. 1 second, please. Councilwoman Lynch.
See how I can switch. Quick question, Mr. Sweeney.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
now
sir.
what you said the parish. What are y'all doing?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What did you just say about the parish?
The parish just now selected their appointments for the master plan committee.
Oh,
Yeah, I was waiting for Doug Dominique to provide me with his appointees, and we just received that this morning.
Okay, and so y'all will be scheduling a meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about I don't know. Can I ask him a question that doesn't have anything to do with the master plan? Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Your
We're gonna
current
deduct a little money from
your
the parish,
current
but
contract
Mhm.
is for what term?
It's year to year.
Oh, it's
And
year to year.
Yes.
Do you know the dates or maybe the month?
It actually goes from October to September 30th of each year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have a finance report? No?
Mr. Chairman, I think we received that
Was
via
that-
email.
got that in the email?
Yeah, we received that via email, and the clerk has informed me that I need to make a statement to get into the public record to confirm that each council member received that report, and if there are any issues that you have with it, please refer it to the Audit and Finance Committee, where I am chairman. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Thompson, is there any legislation to be added today?
There's one item, Mr. Chairman. It's a resolution ratifying the authorization of the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Southern Roots Entertainment. You will recall that was discussed yesterday. There is, the original resolution is on the agenda. It will have to be removed for a second time, whether this one is added or not.
Okay.
Motion to add.
Second.
No, you need
Mr.
to
Withdraw.
have to do the.
Withdraw from the first.
That's the first motion.
No, you need to ask if anybody would like to speak in for or
Oh, for and
against,
against.
in favor of or against.
Okay. Is there anyone here would like to speak in favor or against the motion today? Anyone want to speak in favor or against? Seeing none.
I'm still making that motion.
There you go. Motion by Councilman Corbin and second by Councilman Everson. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Make sure they're there.
Make sure that
Got it.
Motion carries 7. Okay. Now we're down to public comments.
Okay. Let's start with Ms. Susan Caldwell, please. While she walks up, Mr. Smoke, I assume you don't want to speak unless there are questions. If there are, we'll bring it up during the actual agenda item. Okay.
Hi, my name is Susan Caldwell, and I serve All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church at 9449 Ellerby Road here in Shreveport. We are a member congregation of Northern and Central Louisiana Interfaith in our statewide organization, Together Louisiana, and it has been said of us in public bodies before, they don't go away. And so we're back, and we understand. Several of us attended the meeting earlier of the Infrastructure Committee, and we do understand that that committee has voted to approve the exemption for Inferno. But we would like to reiterate yet again is that we're not anti-business. We're not opposed to industrial tax exemptions, provided that they are tied to job creation and that there is some accountability. We look at them as one tool of economic development, along with many others, which our other speaker will speak about. We fought to get local taxing bodies the ability to have input into this process that's been going on for about 90 years. We urge you to go to our website, which is togetherla.org, and look at the millions of dollars that have been lost as opposed to the number of jobs that have not been created along the way. And so what we're asking for is some accountability. We were encouraged that your approval, as we understand it, will be conditional upon receiving numbers from Inferno from year to year to see how that is going. And we're encouraged by much of what we heard in the committee, and particularly the plan to develop a consistent process to make this process less confusing going forward. And we have given you a resolution that was developed in concert with our leaders and CLEDA, the Central Louisiana Economic Development Association, which would provide a framework, a process. It's negotiable. It's not something we're saying is set in stone, but we hope to continue this conversation. We will be back. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bobby Edwards, please.
And if I could, while Susan sits down, during that committee meeting, I did have some questions afterwards about the cooperative endeavor agreement, and I did just want to point out and make sure that everybody knows that that cooperative endeavor agreement is a public document, and it is attached on the online agenda. So if somebody's interested in taking a look at that, it is available there on the online agenda.
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Edwards. I reside at 4650 Lakeshore Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I would like to start off by saying that we appreciate the knowledge and the wisdom that this council gives us in our state of Louisiana and also in our city. And you have to be commended on that. Since I've been with the Interfaith, I've learned so much from you guys. Believe me, I have. All right, first of all, I have an article by Dr. Harry Blake that would be published in the Shreveport Times. Okay? And it starts off, we think that tax exemption can be worthwhile economical development tool, and we are not opposed to them. We are thankful for corporations that do business in Louisiana, like Inferno, okay, employ our people and contribute to our communities. We are not opposed to the ITEF, but it should be part of a broader strategy to attract and retain business. Now, however, the development of a skilled workforce, one of the things we emphasize is to make sure that people are workforce developed so they can go into a corporation and have nice jobs. Our sister organization in Texas and Arizona have pioneered efforts to develop a skilled workforce that is employer-driven and tie those in training to living wage employment with a career path and benefits. Now, there's a Project Quest, the oldest of the labor market immediate, has over 20-year history of moving low-skill, low-wage workers into a high-skill, high-wage job of the 21st century. Now, Quest has an 81% completion rate. Average wages of participants before Quest was $9,000 a year, and most were on some form of public assistance. Now, after the completion of Quest, participants made a beginning salary of $50,000 a year with the ability to advance. Now, San Antonio officials have said that Quest is part of their economical development strategy. Now, Interfaith has proposed a model similar to Quest, Project Acts, another chance to succeed. Interfaith leaders think Acts could do the same for Shreveport and the region that Quest done for San Antonio. Now, we cannot do business as usual in the same manner as before. As I mentioned before earlier, there's a paradigm paralysis with a frame of mind. We've always done it that way. And as I mentioned before, we have to be flexible in the changes that we do in our state in order to attract new business and new jobs. And property tax, as I mentioned before, not only does it hit the citizens of this state, but it also hits the companies of this state. So everybody has to do their fair share. I thank you, and may God bless.
Okay, Mr. Timothy Magner, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Magner with the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. And I sent an email, letter to each of you last evening supporting Inferno's request for the industrial tax exemption. Like many of the folks who've spoken before, we think this is an important tool for economic development here in the community, especially for organizations like Inferno, family-owned, been here for a long time, been investors in the community. And these are the kinds of organizations that the ITEP was really designed to support. Folks who invest in equipment to expand their business, increase their capacity, and hire new jobs. One of the realities that I think we have to recognize with regard to the ITEP program is the fundamental shift that's happening in our workforce with regard to technology. And so I think the linkage to jobs in this particular instance, I think, makes a lot of sense because of the additional capacity enabled Inferno to actually increase their payroll by 20%, some $200,000. these are high-wage, high-need jobs. And I think as we look to attract business to our community, we want to be focused on those types of jobs, because those are the types of jobs that are going to have that flywheel effect in our economy. So in this particular instance, we're very supportive of Inferno and their request. It's exactly the kind of economic development that not only helps our existing businesses continue to operate here, but it helps them grow and expand and create the kind of economic capacity that we think is critical for the future of our community. So I encourage you to vote positively for this in support of our community. Thank you.
Mr. Organic, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mayor Tyler, City Council. My name is Alan Organic. I'm president of Inferno Manufacturing. I live at 420 Piermont Road. I'm here to ask for a 5-year property tax exemption valued at $10,828 over 5 years. That's $10,828 that the city won't receive. Inferno will receive the benefit. So the question is, what's the benefit to the city? After the period of exemption, over the next 20 years, expected life of the machine, a flow of tax revenue to the city, $15,341. More importantly, this project comes with new jobs, and the purchasing power of those new jobs is significant. Inferno followed the ITEP rules, did the advance notice, and we bought a new machine to make valve bodies. A valve body's got like the fist of your hand, about the size. It's got 4 sides to it. This machine can run all 4 sides in one setup without human intervention. That lets us do those quick turnaround, usually low volume jobs that we just were not practical to do before. So that means we're more viable. We can make things we couldn't make before. It's a new machine. It's a new capacity, adds to capacity. It's not a replacement machine. The project came with 3 new jobs, and in recent weeks and months, we've added a 4th job. These are jobs that pay well with benefits. Our average employee is with us 9 years. We have a lot of very new employees because we've been expanding. This exemption will help Inferno. It improves our employee work skills. This is a sophisticated machine. It builds our employee work skills. The exemption lowers our cost to buy new machinery. Otherwise, without the exemption, our costs would go up 18% right off the bat. New machine, lower costs lets us buy new machines. We're in a good market. We have plans to continue expanding. The new jobs that come with expansion means Inferno can help reverse the population decline in Shreveport-Caddo.
Mr. Organic, your time is up. If you could bring it to a close.
That was it.
Your time is impeccable. It's like a well-oiled, brand-new machine, one might say. Okay. Giselle Dudley.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bowman, Mayor Tyler, and City Council. I want to thank you for our opportunity to share with you I'm Giselle Dudley with North Louisiana Economic Partnership. Address is 2929 Logan Street. Work for NLEP, which is led by Mr. Scott Martinez, who is our president, and unfortunately he was not able to attend here today, but we did want to communicate to this body our full support of Inferno's request for 100% participation and support for their ITEP exemption. This company represents everything that in economic development that we stand for. Our major things that we focus on is business development, advocacy, and workforce development. So the thing that we hone in with this particular company is business development, where we hone in on business attraction, retention, and expansion. In this particular instance, they are doing an expansion, which fits in our business development model. They are an existing company that has been here almost 100 years. It's a three-generation company. He is the grandson of the founder, Alan is. I visited his site several times, as well as Councilman Bradford had an opportunity to go out. They started off with their application for 18 employees. Their projection said that they would hire 3, along with the purchase of a $480,000 piece of production equipment that's served in the oil and gas industry. As we all know, that industry is very cyclical, is up and down. Many times you can't predict the ups and the lows. So businesses like Mr. Organics have to make guesstimations and projections as best they can. And with the tools that are made available to them in a number and various different incentives, that goes into their business decision to do and make certain business acts. They are hiring, their average salary is $55,000. Their health insurance pays 100% to all of their employees. They have a 401k program that matches dollar for dollar. So in essence, we think that this is a good model for you guys to put your full support behind. If the entire ITEP exemption were to be granted, there would be a 5-year period of abatement followed by payment of $70,377 over the next 20 years. I thank you for your support.
Thank you. Mr. Settle.
I don't think I could do any better than that. I'm going to sit down.
I would agree with that.
Where's Council? She should agree with that. Thank you.
Mr. Karstensen. Oh my goodness.
Don't mind if I bring some future leaders up here to you.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
Hello again, guys. I'm James Karstensen, 913 Prospect Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. This is 3 of our future leaders here. This is Bella Mia. She recently received a leadership award for first grade, second 9 weeks at Shreve Island Elementary. Also, Dory Lynn here also won a leadership award for the kindergarten class at Shreve Island Elementary. And Harla Kate here should also be a future leader as well. Miss Lynch boned out on us. Let's see. The rest of you have already heard almost everything I had to say, so we can make this pretty quick. There was something mentioned earlier I want to talk about getting stuff on the website when we were talking about, how to reach out to companies and stuff. It's like we got to step into today as a city in general. I mean, our website is putrid. No offense to anybody that may be directly involved with it, but we gotta up that and getting things on the website and available where potential anybody who may be interested in looking into things can find out all relevant information. Let's see. I got to go back to the standards. We need to set the standards. I think that my notes here were saying something about the standards creating the confidence as a business owner to be able to go forward. If we have the standards set forth, it kind of does what pretty much the ideas y'all talked about doing are. It allows us to as a business owner, somebody looking, you don't have to worry. It's not a crapshoot. We're not going to roll the dice and invest huge money hoping to find something out at a later date. If the standards are set, we know what we're getting into. As business owners making a huge capital investment, it's just absolutely imperative that that is done and done right. And like I said, three times in a row now, I really wish we could have that done before we voted on anything. I know your back's against the wall with the Inferno deal, but as far as also the committee, like you're suggesting, I want to put that out there again, especially to Chairman Bowman, if y'all do vote on that, decide to do it, and consider citizen appointees. You got a volunteer right here. I'll put my name in that. Certainly, I'd like to get that, and I plan on sharing the rest of the information I already talked to some of you others about. Other than that, thanks again for your time, and take a good look at your future leaders.
Councilwoman Lynch.
Speaking of our future leaders, who are they?
He just introduced them. You missed it.
Since you missed it, I know. This is Bella Mia.
Okay.
She is first grade, Shreve Island. She just won a leadership award for the first grade class. This is Dory Lim. She's in kindergarten at Shreve Island, and she also won the leadership award for kindergartners for the second 9 weeks. And then this is Harlow Kate. She's a future leader too.
Okay.
But she's in pre-K.
Well, it sounds like they're already leaders.
Indeed.
We had kind of talked a little bit earlier, and he said, well, I've got to babysit my kids. I don't know if I'm going to make it to the meeting. And I said, bring them with you. We love to see
It was
them.
it was a test run. I let them know if they came in here and acted right and were nice and quiet and make me look like
They
an
passed the
awesome
test.
dad.
They did well.
Maybe they could attend future meetings.
Yes.
It's like, Dad, why are you always? You got so many meetings.
Yeah.
Meetings.
Well, we don't want anyone to not come because they have children. If you have children, feel free to bring them. I think it's good. Part of the reason why I'm probably here now is my dad drugged me to so many community meetings when I was growing up. And I didn't know what he was doing at the time, but I guess he did. So I think it's very important, that you get that sense of giving back and
Absolutely.
being engaged and involved in the community from childhood. I think it makes a big difference. Thank you for bringing them.
And they did a good job. They made you look like a great dad. So good job, girls.
Next on our agenda is Mr. Weiner.
It's already on. It's already on.
It's on.
Just put your paper on it.
Okay. I'm Bill Weiner, number 2 Longleaf Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a retired architect and interested in the community. I've got 3 points I want to speak to briefly. I've made them where I won't talk too long. Does this come on?
It's on. Just you got the paper on it.
It's on. It's coming up. There you go.
Can it zoom?
Is it can it zoom?
No.
Can you zoom?
It
Okay.
doesn't zoom.
Well, then, I will speak to that. The first item is the restructuring of the MPC. Planning is about the future. So keep the dual structure of Shreveport-Caddo. Planning must not be constricted by geopolitical boundaries because our city's going to grow and we have to plan for the city and the parish in the future together. The board should be qualified people as to education or experience. The MPC really needs its own source of funding. Public bodies have held it threatened in the past if they don't do what the
government body wants. They threaten to cut their budget, and they're trying to do professional work, not make political decisions. And what other cities do, their planning departments review large capital projects to see if they're in compliance with future thoughts. They don't make a decision. They produce a document for the bodies like yours to look at so you can make a better decision. And so I ask you to stop this ill-conceived approach to nothing. Item 2 is the A&E selection process. The proposal allows for more patronage and cronyism in the future. We need to set up structure so this won't happen. A better process will produce better work, and the state has developed a better process that the history shows it works. It is accepted by the professionals and the government, and you should table this until you can get a group to look at what the state's doing and pattern after them, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Number 3, the proposed appointment for the A&E Selection Board. A democracy must operate with a free and independent press or media. Although it's not illegal to appoint a media person to a board or committee, it is certainly inappropriate and has potential conflicts.
Mr. Winter, your time is up. If you would go to your bold item on the end, maybe that would be it. Your time is up.
I've got 2 sentences.
You got 2 sentences.
Although Mrs. Erin McCarty has served the community well, she's not conversant with construction, contract administration, design, bid laws, bonding, and is not qualified for this position. Because of the media conflict and the qualification problems, please reject this nomination.
Thank you, sir. Those are all the public comments at this point in the agenda.
Okay. We go follow up on these appointments. Did she have somebody else out here? Mm-hmm. She had another appointment she had over there? No? Okay, that was it. Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, we are now under confirmation of the mayor's appointments. Do you want to take these in global or one at a time?
I think I'll let.
Yeah, I move, Mr. Chairman, that we will confirm them in totality.
Second?
Well, I can't vote on them. I need an individual, at least on the A&E. The rest, I have no problem with.
All but the A&E, Mr. Chairman.
And we're talking about this first block right now?
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
I move that all except the A&E be voted on in totality.
So moved. Second, excuse me.
Moved by Councilman Bradford, seconded by Vice Chair. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we would confirm the A&E committee.
Can we take them individually, sir?
Individual?
Yes, sir.
Motion passes.
We haven't voted.
Mr. Chairman.
I never did say motion passed on first.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
He was still getting
I'll
on
make a
record as
substitute.
the previous vote.
I'll make a substitute motion. I'll make a motion for Mr. Stanley Varner.
A second. Okay.
I'm just trying to move it along.
Is there a second?
Necessary.
Okay.
Moved by
Seconded by
Vice Chair,
Councilwoman
second by Councilwoman Lynch. Motion passes.
Okay, I'll make a motion for Miss Erin McCarty.
I second.
I request to speak. I need to give Robert something to talk about in the morning. Okay, that's it.
So, Who made the motion?
I think I did again.
Councilman
And-
Jenkins,
Vice
second
Chair.
by Councilman Fleury.
Second by Councilman Fleury. Please vote.
I'll listen to your interview, Stephanie.
Oh.
This is an ill-conceived approach to nothing. I got that. I'm going to use it.
Motion carries 6-1.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday there was some discussion about taking up the other appointments
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to take up the confirmation for the Assistant City Attorney Human Resources Board, Street Memorial Library Board, Historic Preservation Commission, and the Property Standards Board.
A second.
Moved by Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Bradford. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Move that they be confirmed.
Waiting on one.
My thing is still saying that I voted, but I see that the vote now is also, like, it looks funny. You see what I'm saying? It looks like it didn't reset from the time before, but anyway. As it registers.
Make a
Motion carries.
to confirm these appointments.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Lynch, second by Councilman Bradford. Please vote. That motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I believe we're now under regular agenda legislation, resolutions on second reading and final passage. On Resolution 17, we would again ask that you would move to withdraw that from the agenda.
Motion to remove 17.
Second.
Motion to remove by Councilman Corbin, second by the Vice Chair. Please vote.
Vote to withdraw. Number 17. Removing 17.
17.
Withdraw it.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 18 will approve the Inferno Manufacturing for participation in the Industrial Tax Exemption Program. It's located at 115 Rico Street, Shreveport, Louisiana.
So moved.
Second.
Second, and with an amendment that we approve it at 100%, I think is probably what. Is that what we're supposed to do, or are we supposed to just?
Well, I thought we were not going to do the amendment. We don't have it in writing.
We should get voted.
It's assumed that it's
Oh, at 100%? I mean,
100%.
Wait, is it assumed that 100%?
Yeah.
That's
Because that's what's that is the application.
Okay.
Right.
Disregard my statement then.
Can are we do we have a
Request to
request to
speak?
speak or?
Is that up? It's not up.
Yeah.
It went away.
There are discussions, Mr. Chairman, that we need to engage in.
Okay, but the motion is on the table, and
would you give us a motion and a second again?
it was motion by the chair and seconded by Councilman Corbin.
That's correct.
Okay, and now Councilwoman Lynch.
I just had a question, just for, I guess, the sake of the public. We had a committee meeting prior to, and was there a vote taken, or can you kind of?
There was. That was my request. Is
okay.
Just to, so I chaired the meeting before this, and I just want to share what was discussed there. There were two recommendations that were voted on at that particular meeting. The first recommendation was for the to recommend to the City Council a resolution that would establish a committee that can determine a proper set of procedures to pass these and these type of applications going forward. And there's a little bit more to the language of that, but essentially to create a committee that will review these in the future. The second one was to pass this, to recommend passage of this application for Inferno. Again, I mentioned a moment ago, that cooperative endeavor agreement is a public document. That was because there was some discussion about what's included in there, and that does include some of those provisions, like making sure that we, that the qualifications of the program are met on a yearly basis. So there's some things like that that are in there already, and so it's worth calling that to the attention of anyone who may not have seen that document yet.
Was there still any major opposition today in that meeting?
I mean, no, not directly to the application. I think there was still some people who had reservations about the program in general and how, how the process would go forward. But I think largely there was a lot of good feedback and concern that was expressed. But I think it was productive. What's that?
We're still opposed to it. We just said we weren't going to fight it.
Okay. There we go. So they were still interfaith. Still has some opposition towards the application, but really it was not the focus of the discussion in the meeting. It really was a more productive conversation about how to judge these going forward, and so that was. If anybody else in the meeting would like to add anything, I don't mean to be the only voice, but I just kind of want to share generally the tone of it.
Thank you.
That's it. Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And let me start my remarks by congratulating North Central Louisiana Interfaith for their advocacy and bringing up some very important issues that I thought need to have been put on the table in regards to this conversation, especially the industrial tax exemption program that we are now responsible for provisions in applying it to our community. Then let me say, Mr. Chairman, that I met with Interfaith, and Councilman Floyd and we thought had a great engagement, listened to all of their concerns, and I told them that my mind was still open until I meet with Inferno people and visit the site. I had opportunity to do that today. This company is in my district. It's in the Agos area. 50 years ago, Agos was the largest industrial park in Shreveport. Before the expansion of industrial parks around the city, Agos was the location. About every industry was located in Agos. On my way to Inferno, it was in my district, I passed streets and highways that are littered with empty buildings. A once proud industrial park, for whatever reason, is now littered with empty buildings. Except when I got to Rico Street and saw Inferno. Inferno has a new constructed building. I met with the people there. I got a tour of the building. I especially wanted to see the equipment that was $480,000 and see how it worked. They gave me a complete description and presentation on what this equipment does and how it enhanced and technologically advanced their operation, that they can now produce more product than they did in the past. I even had opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to meet a couple of the new employees that was hired as a result of the expansion that this company is engaged in. It fit what I thought was the model of what giving them assistance and exemption in their taxes would provide. But what is also important in that visit is that in talking to the owner today, is that they was asked to apply for the industrial tax exemption program, which is a statewide program. They met all of the rules and requirements to participate in that program. The results of what they had on the application is now being realized, and I said to myself, because my first intuition was that it didn't seem that it was a practical thing to do, because I asked the owner, what about just basic reinvestment in your company? If you make a profit, you should utilize some of your profits to reinvest in the company. But then the thing that drove me to my decision is that they met all the rules. They followed the rules. Now, we discussed in our committee meeting this afternoon about how would we modify what was brought to us so that we can be prudent in not setting a precedence in that every application would be judged on its own merits. Therein lies my support of this, Mr. Chairman, because when a citizen or a company comes before this body, a public body, they deserve to be treated fair. If they followed the rules, if they are adhering to what they applied in the application, they should not be penalized because of something that is not necessarily attached to the application in which they followed in the application. And they haven't done that. They met the criteria of the application as it is now, as it was presented to us, until this body modified in a way that it would be acceptable so that we could be more prudent in our screening of this process. We have to do what is right. Now, certainly, I would not say that the city of Shreveport does not need tax dollars from industries and businesses. We need those dollars, but at the same time, if on the front end we would sacrifice $10,000, and on the back end we can see where the city would benefit $100,000. It just seems to me that it is wise and prudent that we will award this, because what I saw today with the expansion of the new building, with the equipment that I saw, with the attitude of the employees and the diversity of the employees and the salary of the employees, I do not see a business that is here temporarily. I see a business that is here for a long haul. They've been here for 70, 80 years, and with what is going on over there now, I see that benefit to continue. And their plans are to add some additional buildings, office space, and some other apparatus that will expand the business, because they have the property to do it, and I think they're going to do it. I'm confident with my decision in allowing them to take advantage of this industrial tax exemption that they have in good faith applied for. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm asked that the council will join me in voting yes for this project, and let's modify what we are going to do in the future so that we won't be negligent in not knowing what we're doing, and that those persons that are asking for this rebate would be knowledgeable of what is expected of them from this council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Please vote. Motion carries 6-1.
Resolution 20 welcomes the National Association of Women Judges Conference to the City of Shreveport and recognizes Judge Shiva Sims, the District 6 Director of NAWJ.
Moved by Councilman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Everson. Any other discussion? Please vote. That motion carries.
Resolution 21 creates a new Shreveport.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak to this before it's read. I would like to postpone this. At that time, I will be given additional time to compile some data that I need.
Do you want to when do you want to postpone to?
Or you can table it.
Table it. I'll table it.
Okay.
Motion is a table.
Motion to table.
Table.
By Councilman Fleury and seconded by Councilwoman Lynch. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote. The motion carries 7-0.
Resolution 29 will welcome Bishop Dr. James W. Proctor, First Lady Dr. Izora Johnson Proctor, and delegates to the City of Shreveport for the Louisiana First Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction Church of God in Christ, Inc. Leaders and Workers Meeting.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Bradford. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to March the 13th, 2018. Resolution 22 authorizes the City of Shreveport to hire professionals in connection with the issuance of not exceeding $120 million water and sewer revenue bonds. Resolution 23 declares the intention of the City of Shreveport to proceed with the issuance of not to exceed $120 million water and sewer revenue bonds in one or more series, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Resolution 24 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the City of Shreveport and Vintage Construction Group, LLC, for the water and sewer mains and related facilities to serve Providence Phase 2, Unit F, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Resolution 25 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the city and Providence Development Company for the water and sewer mains and related facilities to serve Providence Phase 3, Unit A, construction Phase 2 and 3, and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Resolution 26 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the City of Shreveport and WIVI Land Development, LLC, for the water and sewer mains and related facilities to serve Lucian Fields Phase 1, Unit A, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Resolution 27 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the city for the water and sewer and Shreveport and Reunion Development, LLC, for the water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve Reunion Subdivision Unit Number 4 and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Resolution 28 authorizes the mayor to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Shreveport and Coates Bluff, LLC. And the resolution that was added, 17A, ratifies the authorization of the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Southern Roots Entertainment and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move for introduction, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford, second by the Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
And we have someone to speak.
Yes. My inquiry is on Resolution 22, and I'm going to address to the administration. But before I do that, let me acknowledge the fact that the mayor has been in communication with me in regards to moving forward the resolution that we passed to commission a disparity study. She's eager to move forward. We have some plans to involve other government entities. But my question at this time, Mayor, is in regards to 22, where it's a part of the consent decree work, I would trust.
Oh, yes.
Is how is fair share being awarded in those endeavors?
Well, you know, they are being awarded in several arenas, and we need to probably sit with you just to go over those. But when we bid the work out, we select the companies. We actually encourage very strongly that they use fair share clients, and they do that. A lot of our clients are working on 2 to 3 different projects, so the work has continued with them. In fact, this year, this past year, we did like $50 million in just fair share clients over 2016, where we did 27. And so we're continuing to improve. Every department is doing it in addition to the consent decree work.
Great. So that is being.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it, and I think that's the start to create the and lessen the disparity that we've discussed.
Absolutely, absolutely. We just, you know, I want to remind our publics that the city of Shreveport can't do it alone because the gap is so large.
Sure.
We really need to try to engage all areas and all entities to come on board and let's do something to help us close the gap on the disparity economically.
And let me just say that this spring, this spring, the city is hosting the next intergovernmental meeting. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I spoke to the chairman, and I asked him that that would be part of the agenda items.
Yes, sir.
To engage the school board as well as the parish to see how they can work with and support what we are doing in lessening the disparity within the city and the parish.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, you're gonna have that as an agenda item.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll make sure I get with the clerk to add that to the agenda for that meeting. If we can get with, y'all can find out exactly, try to coordinate a date, that'll be good for the school board and the commission for that meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Please vote. Motion carries to introduction.
Just as a point of, I actually didn't click my button that time, and I'm fine with the yes vote. That's how I was going to vote. But it was doing the same thing it did earlier, where it's like it's taking whatever I voted before and not resetting or something. I mean, it's not a problem on that one.
It's just reading your mind.
But in some cases, it could be a problem. I just want to point that out, that it could be an issue. So.
I might have to add an item to the agenda that I could get a vote on.
Mr. Thompson, please continue.
We're now in the introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 16 amends the 2018 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 17 closes and abandons the street dedication in Lot 18 of Nichols subdivision in Section 26 of the city. Ordinance 18 revises certain provisions of Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances. Ordinance 19 amends various other articles and sections of the Unified Development Code. Ordinance 20 is a zoning matter, case number C-2-18. It rezones property located on the north side of Claiborne Avenue between Magrillia Avenue and Mark Street from I-2 Heavy Industrial District and R2 Multifamily Residential District to IMU Industrial Mixed Use District. Ordinance 21 is a zoning matter C-6-18. It rezones property located on the west side of Airport Drive, approximately 300 feet east of Jack Wells Boulevard, from C4 Heavy Commercial District to I2 Heavy Industrial District.
So moved for introduction.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson and seconded by Councilman Corbin. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
We're now to ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance number 9 amends and reenacts certain provisions of Chapter
Mr. Chairman.
26.
I'd like to ask the council to, let's postpone this for 2 weeks to allow the architects some input on this.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Fleury, second by Councilman Everson, to postpone for 2 weeks.
To the next council, next regular meeting day.
Should I get it right? Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries.
Tell them don't wait till the last minute. Tell them don't wait till the last minute. I'll respond to the guy's email, but if they have some input, the sooner we get it, the better.
And could for the record right now, I would say if there's a comparable group of engineers out there that would like to comment right now, it's a good time to get those
Right.
comments in, because we got
Right.
them from architects, and it would be helpful if we had, the same type of communication from any
'Cause this was
engineering,
kinda last minute.
any professional engineering group that makes this. Yeah,
I'm saying
maybe
they-
now instead of 2 weeks from now, if anybody else has comments.
No, I'm saying what them telling us they wanted something different was last minute.
Yeah, and that's what I was
So
saying.
I'm
If there's
saying
another
to
group out
James,
there,
yeah.
be helpful to kind of send it in now instead of at the last minute.
Right.
Ms. Thompson.
Ordinance 10 declares the city's intention to acquire full ownership of a certain adjudicated property for community.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt ordinance 10.
Moved by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilman Everson. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries 7.
Ordinance 11 will close and abandon a portion of Sweet Leaf Avenue in Providence, Phase 2, Units G and H subdivisions in Section 20.
So moved by Councilman
Second.
Corbin and seconded by Councilman Everson. Please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 12 will revise certain provisions in Chapter 10 of the Code of Ordinances, specifically revising Section 10-84 relative to requiring physical separation from other business operations of sales of beverages of high alcoholic content liquors for consumption off premises, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. There's one amendment. The amendment replaces the entire ordinance, but the title remains the same. It adds and or on in provision C, in section C, subsection C.
Motion by Councilman Corbin and second by Vice Chair.
On the amendment?
This is
On
on
the
the amendment,
on
right?
Amendment 1.
I have a question.
And Councilwoman Lynch is up to speak.
So now where is this telling me I can drink? I mean, what is it doing? I'm just trying to figure out what kind of cup I need.
I think this
Don't
is
confuse
trying to-
what city you live in. This is a different issue. This
Oh,
is
it
to
is?
do
Okay.
with the retail
Separation.
sale of hard liquor, essentially. I'm going to say it like that.
Separation.
And the separation from retail sale of beer and wine.
So we're eliminating the separation.
No. Basically, now, if you think of it as beer and wine is the same kind of thing, and hard liquor is something more, then this is making it consistent with that. I think there's been some basically changes at the state, changes at local. There's been various changes of how these things are interpreted, and they weren't exactly meeting up.
Okay, you're
to
looking
provide
at
the right
amendment
results.
right now, but I think it might be more clear for you to look at the actual ordinance and not the amendment.
Can we talk in terms of liquor?
Okay.
I can understand that.
It just means a liquor.
It's not going to add liquor in places that don't currently have
When we
liquor.
say beer from vodka, I mean, I just need to understand. The public needs to understand what we're doing.
This does not change how we handle liquor.
Okay.
This only applies to beer and wine.
Okay.
And it removes the requirement for a separate entrance for what is high content alcohol, beer, or wine. So you'll still need a separate entrance for liquor.
Thank you. That's all I need to know. Okay.
So you still got to go in the other door for your vodka.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because you know, in some places, Walmart in Baton Rouge, since y'all think I live there, they actually have liquor in the by the checkout.
They do.
But that's South Louisiana.
Or Bossier. Or Bossier.
Oh, Bossier too?
Yeah. Or it's
anywhere else, really.
That's the convenience store across from where your apartment is in Baton Rouge.
You've been there.
Yeah, we've been.
Y'all gonna start more rumors now. Oh, come on.
Move on. Let's move on.
Minimize these rumors.
Please vote.
This is on the amendment.
On the amendment. I'm sorry, on the amendment. Please vote.
I won't make a joke about David Alford being my neighbor either.
Motion carries with 7.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Corbin, second by the Vice Chair. Move as amended. Please vote. And the motion carries with 7.
Ordinance number 13 revises certain provisions in Chapter 78 of the Code of Ordinances, specifically revising Section 78-3 relative to requiring on-site project information to be required for projects in the city public rights-of-way
So moved.
and on city-owned property.
Moved by Councilwoman Lynch and seconded by the Chair. Any discussion?
Just, has anybody received any public feedback on this? And the reason I ask, I was at a meeting, just a public meeting that was for another subject, and I did hear somebody, a member of a utility, complaining about this, but no one ever reached out to me, directly to say that. And then I did hear another utility saying that they do it anyway, so they weren't too worried about it. But I just wanted to make sure. I mean, if no one received any official communication, I didn't. And okay, all right. I mean, I'm good with the intention of this for sure. If there was some detail that needed to be discussed
How do we plan
further,
to
I'd
inform
be happy
them?
to. But I never
How do we
got
plan to
anything.
inform them of the change?
Well, our engineering department will actually send letters, probably to the companies, but we'll come together once you've passed on this one, so that, and I don't know how many of you get the calls. May I, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
We get the calls constantly when utility companies and other companies are doing a lot of construction and digging, especially in the communities. The city of Shreveport gets the blame, and oftentimes it is not the city's construction. And so we're asking,
All day, all the time, we get those.
yes.
That's a lot of them.
But we will inform each of the companies that we know about that are doing construction.
It's an opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That it, Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes.
Please vote.
I'd like to make one comment.
Yes, sir.
The peak of my frustration is signs and barricades in city roads with zero construction going on. That is a level of frustration that is Line Avenue, 2-lane closures with no construction, nobody nearby, nobody has any idea whose project it is.
That's correct.
In a rush hour. And I mean, it just becomes a major annoyance.
For like 3 weeks.
And you're like, well, whose project and who is, and then of course they get scattered away because people run over a few of them, and then
And that and this, the city damaged this when they replaced my gas meter. The city did not replace your gas meter, I promised you. It was the gas company replaced your gas meter.
Absolutely.
But it's just easier to kind of think of it all as the city. So when it's clear, it's easier for the citizens to know who to contact. certainly.
Absolutely.
Motion carries 7. Mr. Thompson.
Ordinance 14 creates and establishes the intersection of Sandiford Drive and Norway Drive as a stop intersection.
I'd like to make a motion to remove this from the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair, second by Councilman Corbin to remove from the agenda. Please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance 15 creates and establishes no-through truck route on Sandifer Drive between Fern Avenue and Steer Street.
So moved.
It's moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Councilman Corbin. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Mr. Chairman, that's all on the regular agenda. We have nothing on the table agenda. There are no appeals to be taken up at this time except the appeal at the special meeting that will be held at the end of this meeting.
Are there any reports, any other reports from any officer, board, committee?
Just that we did have the infrastructure committee meeting today. I did discuss what that was. One thing we didn't have time to do at that meeting was discuss the date of our next meeting, where we will review, and I want to thank the administration for the committee members. If you hadn't seen it yet, we did just receive the new State of the Infrastructure report. So we will be scheduling another meeting soon, and so I'll just send out an email to get some available dates, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins.
One thing on that, and since Patrick is here, I would like an update on the railroad crossing at this moment, if possible.
We'll do it.
Okay. Do you want to send it to me in email, or you can come up and tell me?
Oh, you want one right now?
Whichever way, it
No,
doesn't
go
matter.
on.
It doesn't matter to me.
I've got a very recent one I can send you.
Okay.
He just sent an email out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got one.
We'll
I can
forward
send
it
it
to
to
you.
you.
Okay, that's all. Yeah, it's like, it was one of the items, and I didn't want to confuse it on our discussion earlier.
No problem.
And so, thank you.
Yep.
Very expeditious, Patrick. Appreciate it.
He's forwarding it to you as we speak.
Mr. Thompson, is there a clerk's report? Somebody told me that today you had one.
Well, the mayor's appointments have all been confirmed, so the council took care of that. And my only other item is a special meeting that will occur immediately after this meeting.
Yes, sir. We will have a special meeting to hear the appeal from Pell State or directly after this meeting. Any additional communications from the mayor?
Yes, sir. I forgot to say that we will be having our Shreveport Police Department banquet and our Shreveport Fire Department banquet next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Riverview Hall. We'll have the Shreveport Police Department banquet, and Shreveport Fire Department will be at 6 p.m. Thursday, March 8th at Riverview Hall. So we're inviting all of you council members, if you can, please come by and, say hello, and also just to acknowledge the appreciation we have for both of these departments and our first responders. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other council members have any communication?
Quick request. Is somebody here from Community Development?
Mr. Chairman, I'm on the
Is
board.
Herman sorry. Good to see that.
Councilman Fleury.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Mr. Chairman. I get 15 minutes, right? I'd like to remind the citizens of Shreveport that a courtesy reminder was sent out by the Water and Sewer Department that they should have already received, that reflecting their February bill would be a 7% rate increase on their sewer portion of the bill. And I want to just share with you some of the things that were put in there. I think citizens are not educated enough about how this all transpired and where we're at. And I say this today in a positive note, not a negative note. It says that the city of Shreveport continues to work required in the consent decree with the Department of Justice to correct the negative environmental impact by the crumbling infrastructure that has for decades deteriorated. Antiquated water and sewer system must be overhauled in order to comply with the Federal Clean Water Act and to maintain our drinking water system. Performing that work requires hundreds of millions of dollars, and many of these projects are well underway. The Department of Water and Sewage is financially self-supported by rates paid by our citizens, and every dollar you pay is used to ensure that Shreveport continues to have reliable, quality water and wastewater services today and into the future. This is the 5th of 9 increases that were approved in 2013 by the former City Council and former administration to pay for the much needed repairs to the city's water and sewer systems. And by law, the rate increases will occur until January of 2022. The schedule approved rate increases enacted in 2013 were outlined in a chart, but I just want to share with you in 2018 there was 0 increase on your water bill. There was a 7%, which I've already stated, for sewer. In 2019, there'll be 0% on your water bill and 7% for your sewer bill. In 2020, it'll be 6% in the water and 6% increase in your sewer. In 2021, there will be 0% for your water and 2% on sewer. And hopefully, finally, in 2022, there'll be a 4% water and a 2% sewer. And so I just want the citizens to know that this work that's going on about is on track, and this is where we see the light at the end of the tunnel with these increases. But they're mandated by a federal consent decree, and I just think a lot of citizens call me complaining about it. But this is where it comes from, and we're trying to upgrade according to this consent decree. And so I just wanted to share that with the citizens. I think it's important that they know this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fleury.
Another thing to give us just a little perspective on that, after having been around a while, we do get occasional complaints about, the increase to water and sewer bills, but I get a lot fewer complaints about people calling me and saying there's raw sewage in their yard. And I'll take that trade-off.
Me too. Amen. Thank you, Councilman Everson and Councilman Fleury. I didn't see you up on the board earlier. Councilman Jenkins.
He's on the board now.
I know.
I pushed it for you.
Wasn't anybody on there before.
Did it, Barbara Norton.
Okay. Quick question. Bonnie, is there some grant program for housing, I'll say...
Opportunity zones.
Okay. Opportunity zones for refurbishment, not weatherizing, but it's actual infrastructure refurbishment. Anyway, the reason I'm asking this question is I was called today about somebody that says there's a program that she was told by the governor's office that I'm supposed to put in a grant for her. I don't think that, having never put in a grant for a citizen as a city councilman before, I was surprised by this program. But I think she may be a little confused. So do we have the community development grants? There's one for a winterizing or a weatherizing program?
That's through Cattle Community Action Agency.
Okay.
That's what they're referring for.
Okay.
The funding is federal dollars, but it's funded through the state Office of Community Service, and I think even LHC now. But it's Cattle Community Action Agency.
Okay. So she was very clear that it isn't winterizing. It is
weatherization.
Maintenance of her or restoring her building. So is there any grant funding associated with that either the city is involved with or applying for?
Not the weatherization program. There's no specific grant through the state that address buildings other than historic preservation.
Is there any federal programs, not through the state, but that the city has access to through grants for residential structures that need rehabbing?
That's community development block grant dollars. Those are the programs where we primarily target the elderly and disabled for renovations of their homes.
Okay. So this citizen should potentially be contacting your office about this.
Yes, unless they're applying for Paint Your Heart Out Shreveport, I would advise them to contact us in August.
Okay, in August.
We take applications in August, starting in August.
Okay. I think there was some communication when she spoke to your office about what she was asking for, actually, and who the right person was. Okay.
All right.
Thank
And
you.
if she has any further questions, she can call Marcia Nelson at 673-7528.
7528? Okay, thank you.
Any other council member? Public comments.
Reverend Nathaniel Francis, please.
Where the district?
To the mayor and to this council, Reverend Nathaniel Francis from 2975 Willie Mays on Cooper Road area. I have 2 or 3 concerns. I try to make it brief as possible. To the mayor, your brother Leroy Spielman was a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. And I know he would love to see us work together. And charity begins at home and spread abroad. And we have some problems on the Cooper Road, and maybe we can have a town hall meeting sometime and voice some of the concerns. I know I had a friend, a man I worked with, Sam, and we were selling cars. Sam wasn't doing too good in the car business. He didn't know much about it. He wouldn't listen, and I told him we had moved in the flood zone on River Drive. So sure enough, a flood come through there and flooded all those cars. But I said, Sam, you need to maybe open up a restaurant. I said, black folk love shrimp. So now you say, Sam got a big old chain. So you'd be surprised sometimes the ideas people can have that we can have some success with. That's one thing I want to say. But there's a major problem that I want to talk about. The guns. Whatever we can do as a council, the mayor, police, governor, whatever we can do in the city of Shreveport, let our little light shine, to prohibit the sale of those guns that's killing so many, that 15 guns. You look at the deaths that we had. So whatever we can do to help to prevent that, there don't need to be no sale. Those military guns. The root of the problem, if the age limit, I've been in the streets, so, I go buy a gun. If you fix it where I can't get it, I go buy it from somebody. I give them a little money, they go buy it. So we need to go to the root of the problem. When you got a problem, you need to go to the root of the problem. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we need to go to the root of the problem. So that's one of the major concerns that I have, because I'm concerned about the children. I love children. I take time up with them and show them my trade and help them to learn my trade, and some of them are doing very well now. Train them, putting them up under me. I'm 62 now, and anything I can do to help them, I try to do that to help them. And also, I want us to give, because it take money to do things. I'm going to give a $10 check to the Carroll Parish schools, and I know they're going to have some more security. So that check is going to be for security. So I ask that you all journey in, the city of Shreveport, journey in and help me with this effort. So, one thing, told my friend one time, Mr. Brown Sullivan, and he's the one who was teaching VOTEC. He went through a lot of things, being a black man, trying to get, they didn't want back then, they didn't want a black man to be a body man. But Mr. Sullivan, he hid, and he learned how to be a body man. And when I got fired, man fired me for nothing, Mr. Sullivan told me, he said, you the kind of fella going to stand up for what you believe in, you need a trade. So I was praying to go to that school, that VOTEC school that he started teaching in Monroe, Louisiana. And that was Elizabeth Sullivan. That was her father. That her son got killed not too long ago out there on the highway. But her father opened up the door. God worked through him. So
Reverend
but
Francis.
this woman told her, Mr. Sullivan said, I pity you out there. But he said this to her. He said, you pitied me, but you never offered me a drink of water when she seen him out there working hard. So let us do what we can do to help our children.
Okay. Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, 71101.
Don Hanley and myself ate at CC's Pizza just as of last Friday at 4 p.m., and of course I won't say specifically what the reason was. We had tried to do this before, about 2 weeks ago, but he came down with the flu, and I didn't want it, as anyone would sense. I ate alone at the time, but we did make it up, and we did have lunch at 4 p.m. Friday, and the pizza and salad are very good over there for $6.78 for seniors, and of course, I guess for regular pricing. Also, the Church of the Holy Cross, once again, is going to have a soup lunch for $5 at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays until the date of March 21st. They just started February 21st, and they go to March 21st, which will be 11 a.m. for $5. Hot soup, dessert of your choice, ice water, and coffee are all very good that you just don't want to pass up. Find your Wednesday to come to that church and enjoy the Church of the Holy Cross's Wednesdays, 11 a.m., $5 soup lunch. You'll be glad you did. I know that several of you have been there, several have not, and I would really like to see everyone come that can possibly make it. Even if you're not on the council, you still are welcome to come. And everyone is welcome to come, so please do that. And also, in conclusion, for those who saw me in here earlier, luckily I just avoided the rain because I didn't want to get rained on because of a misconception. I was at the library earlier just finishing up the newspaper. This man walked by and I sort of misheard what he said because he said, "Where is Lorraine?" And when he said, "Where's Lorraine?" I misunderstood and thought he said rain, and I grabbed my stuff and came over here immediately to avoid it.
Sam, I have a question. This thing at Holy Cross, now what happens if I can't eat it all?
That is a good
Hand
question,
it over.
Councilman.
Hand it over,
Okay, thank you.
because my mouth will finish the rest.
Thank you.
Okay, Pastor Mays.
Pastor Mays, 1039 Buncombe Road. Thank you, councilmen, for your service. Thank you, Mayor, for your service. And in the spirit of Black History Month, I want to say greetings to all of you. I just came up to just say to what my fellow brother minister said, this body here cannot do anything as it relates to semi-automatic weapons. That would have to come from the state legislator's office, and they are not going to be applicable to doing anything such as that because the NRA controls those politicians up there. So nothing would get done from this particular body because they can't do nothing in that regard. Here's my concern. Mayor Tyler, you inherited a mess. And I tell people that I'm going around the city of Shreveport because the buck was passed. And that's why we're in the position that we're in. Everybody's looking at why we in the position that we're in. For us, infrastructure and other things, there was people that could have made a difference but refused to make that difference. So they rather for to pass it on to somebody else. And I'm telling people, until we as African Americans in this city, that is the majority of the population in this city, until we decide that we're not going to take it anymore, and we're going to start making sure that some of the things that we want to have done, and to fire those politicians that don't stand up for our best representation. So my thing is that all the shooting and all the stuff that's going on in the city of Shreveport, I said a long time ago when I first came here before the mayor got elected, it's not her problem. It's not the problem of the police department. Everyone has to get involved. Everyone has to get involved. The parents, everybody got to be involved. The politicians. But the problem that we have, and I said this at Cedric, and I've been saying it down through the years, right before this podium. I said it don't take Pastor Mays to smell the smoke to know that the house is on fire. The house is on fire. And the problem is that we can't blame one individual and say we got a quick fix. The problem been escalating down through the years. why this problem is escalating. Nobody wants to talk about this. Where there's no job procurement, I say this at this podium. Economic development in some of those impoverished neighborhoods, and I'm so glad, Mayor, and I thank you for the disparity study that you all are involved in so that real numbers can look at this thing. Unless we all come up together, then we all going to sink together. So they thought it was amusing at the time, but now, since crime is going throughout the city, and now everybody wants to blame certain people about why this is happening, this is something that's been ongoing and now has escalated. In other words, I smelled the smoke a long time ago, so the house is on fire. So it's up to us as a collective group and a community to put out the fire, and can't blame just one person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Those are all the public comments.
Thank you. And as stated earlier, we will adjourn this meeting and go into the special meeting to hear the appeal from Pell State R. This meeting.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of closing comments. Councilwoman Lynch wants to make one. I did too.
You snuck that in on me.
He's supposed to be looking out.
That's his board. That is not my board.
Councilwoman Lynch, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You just
It was completely blank, too, when I looked over there.
I'm sorry.
Well, you got the mic now. You better use it before he snatches it back. I mean,
Let me say it. I don't want to take any issue with any opinion that any citizen has, because certainly I have my own opinions. But I do want to say that Mayor Tyler certainly inherited some challenges, just like Mayor Glover did, just like Mayor Hightower did, and we can go back, as far anybody, any mayor that steps into the position for the first time is going to have some challenges, just as this council had some challenges. I don't want to say that she inherited a mess. Certainly she inherited, and we inherited, the new council members, some challenges. The reality being we had 3 council members from previous administration, most of the department heads from previous administration. We've had the current CEO, formerly was the assistant CEO, I believe, under prior mayor. But to say that there were not some challenges, yes, there were. I would not want, people to mischaracterize that as being a mess. Now, in the case of Governor Edwards, he inherited a mess. In my opinion on that. I think a big part of what has been most challenging from my perspective is the degree of accountability that people have been held to for things that have happened or not happened. And I can say, up until this point, Mayor Tyler a lot of her focus has been on accountability, and I think that has made a big difference in some of the progress, that we're seeing throughout the city. And so, I appreciate Mayor Tyler, that being a focus of yours, is holding people accountable for their job, what they're supposed to be doing, and to the best that we can meet the citizens' expectations of what they want from their city government. Okay, so my constituents, I don't have to tell them to speak up or to let me know or let the mayor know how they feel about the services and the progress that the city is making, because they're going to do that. And as their representative, I'm going to do that because, I came from that area, so that's what we do. You know, we don't mind standing up for what we believe in. And so we're not looking backwards. You know, one thing I heard Mayor Tyler say, I think in a meeting a week or two ago, she said, I don't point fingers. She said, I don't point fingers. We're not looking back. We're looking forward. Okay, and we're going to do, you know, whatever we can to, so that's not to say when we're finished that the next mayor won't have challenges. When the next mayor comes in, whether that's this year or 4 years from now, there'll still be some challenges. And, but as to Pastor May's point, if we continue to try to work together, community and government, we'll see the progress that we all want. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lynch. Councilman Bradford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councilwoman Lynch, for those remarks. I thought it was very timely. Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not report back. As you remember yesterday, Ryan Williams came before the body and expressed his project in regards to coordinating an event that would bring over 600 young people to the Boardwalk Theater to see the movie Black Panther. Well, I spent the early morning with him and greeting those young people into the Boardwalk area as well as to the theater, and it exceeded the 600. It was an event to be of the moment. Those kids came in buses. Cattle Parish School, I guess, coordinated in a way that they would get credits in some ways that seeing the movie. But anyway, high school students, middle school students, elementary school students from a variety of schools in Cattle Parish attended the premiere of that, well, not the premiere, but the showing of that extraordinary film. And the concessions was open. Kids had opportunity, sponsorships made available, you know, popcorn and hot dogs and Cokes. And it was just exciting to see how they came together in such excitement and anticipation, and how the chaperones and the movie personnel and the principals showed up as well to make that such a great event for those young people, and they were so excited. So I want to thank you for your attendance to him, and that these are the type of events in cooperation that I think Councilwoman Lynch and Pastor Mays was referring to when he said, if we work together, we can accomplish a lot. And it was a diverse group of young people as well. The movie Black Panther is attracting a very broad sector, not only here but throughout. You know, I mean, it's exceeded 700 million already. It's only been out for 10 days, so if you haven't seen it, I think you'll be happy if you go see it. And I feel good about the future of the city of Shreveport. Of course, this is election year, and I believe in election years only because election years is when the citizens of this city has opportunity to evaluate us. And I believe, you know, in my profession, every year I have a period where I evaluate my subordinates, and my superiors evaluate me. We tell about our strengths, weaknesses, and things that we need to do to improve, and then we give them time to correct those weaknesses. But at the same time, if the citizens of this city feel comfortable that the job that we who will be seeking re-election are doing, then I think they would do that. But at the same time, I'm not at all concerned that citizens should not evaluate and put people in office who they feel like can serve the city and can serve the city well. So I appreciate the comments, especially. And Pastor Mays, I feel you. I feel you because, you know, I mean, you're not hallucinating because you've been out here a long time. But I do want you to and this is the problem in Shreveport. If there's one problem we have in Shreveport, is that we are a diverse city. We come from different demographics, and we see things from, let me say it this way, we see things as we are. We don't see things as they are. Things are saw as you are in the area that you are. People from the Cooper Road see Shreveport different than the people in Broadmoor. Okay. People in Moortown see Shreveport different from the people down in the southern parts of the city. But we have to make our city to where everybody can see the positive and the good in it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman, can I just say one thing, since Councilman Lynch referred on what I had spoke to. The only way that you don't have old problems that you have to face is that you have a council that solves those old problems. You all are trying to work collectively on new problems. If what had been done in the past, you all wouldn't have to do it now. That's the basic of what Pastor Mays is saying. So if it had been done back then, you wouldn't have to do it now. So now you got a collective group of people that's trying to work together to get something done. If that had happened previously, you all wouldn't be having this conversation. We'll be doing something else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mays, and thank you, Councilman Bradford, for those comments. I think that everyone has their own opinion, and shouldn't be judged for those that that you seem to be vocal about. Let me say that. And it sounded like you came out with a re-election speech too at the end. So I'll just leave that. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned.